It began without warning. There was no sign, no omen, no hint that the world was about to change forever. One moment the world was alive with noise, a symphony of cities, nature, and humanity. The honking of horns, laughter in parks, the distant rumble of trains, and the chatter of markets, all blended into the familiar soundtrack of daily life. Then, in a single instant, it was all gone. Not muffled, not faded, erased. The world's soundtrack was cut, as if someone had pressed mute on existence itself. The silence that followed was suffocating, a heavy presence that blanketed the globe. It pressed in on every surface, filling every space where sound once lived. A vendor in Delhi, mid-shout, found his voice stolen. A violinist in Vienna played to emptiness. Jet engines vanished into the void. Across continents, the familiar sounds of life were replaced by an eerie, unnatural hush. People looked at each other in confusion and fear, tapping their ears, mouthing words that made no sound. Panic flickered in their eyes as they tried to make sense of the impossible. The world, for the first time, had fallen completely silent. The familiar anchors of reality, the ticking clock, the rustle of leaves, were gone. Even the smallest sounds, the ones we never noticed, had vanished. Humanity stood frozen in disbelief, adrift in an ocean of quiet. Our senses struggled to comprehend a world stripped of one of its most fundamental dimensions. The silence was not just around us, it was inside us, unsettling and absolute. The great stillness was a humbling force, exposing how fragile and dependent we are on the everyday miracle of sound. It revealed how much we rely on noise to feel connected, to feel alive. The question lingered, how long would this unnerving stillness last? And in the absence of sound, what would we discover about ourselves and about the world we thought we knew? The silence made itself known as the world tried to begin its day. Alarm clocks failed, cities overslept, the intricate dance of modern life stumbled. In the streets, confusion turned dangerous, drivers pressed horns in vain, pedestrians stepped into silent traffic, and the city's unspoken rules unraveled. Hospitals lost their beeps and alarms, doctors and nurses relied on frantic gestures, their split-second communication gone. Airports fell into chaos, flights grounded, emergency services crippled. The web of sounds that held our world together, alerts, warnings, calls for help, was gone. Society's auditory systems had collapsed, revealing our vulnerability. The morning had come, but the world had not truly woken up. Silence, once a blessing, became a source of chaos. As the initial shock faded, humanity scrambled to communicate in a world suddenly stripped of its most familiar tool, speech. The silence was overwhelming, but necessity drove us to adapt quickly, searching for any way to bridge the gap between minds and hearts. Speech was useless. Gestures became our new language. Clumsy, universal, and slow. Every movement of the hands, every raised eyebrow or pointed finger took on new meaning. We fumbled, laughed, and sometimes grew frustrated, but we kept trying, determined to be understood. Technology became our voice. Texting, messaging, and social media exploded as people checked on loved ones and shared information. Screens glowed late into the night, filled with urgent questions, reassurances, and the comfort of digital connection. Whiteboards and notes replaced conversation. Pen and paper became lifelines, passed from hand to hand in offices, homes, and on the street. Written words, once taken for granted, now carried the weight of our thoughts and feelings. The written word regained primal importance, a silent defiance against the void. Every note, every scribbled message was a small act of resilience, a way to push back against the emptiness of a voiceless world. For the deaf community, the day was different. They became guides, their sign language suddenly the world's most valuable skill. Where others struggled, they moved with confidence, their hands fluent in a language built for silence. Crowds gathered around those who could sign, desperate for clarity. Interpreters became heroes, translating the world's confusion into graceful, expressive motion. For 24 hours, hands spoke with eloquence the rest of us had lost. Fingers danced in the air, telling stories, sharing news, and offering comfort in ways words never could. the world learned that communication is more than sound. Eye contact, posture, and the smallest gestures became powerful tools, revealing emotions and intentions without a single word. In silence, we found new ways to connect, discovering that even without voices, our need to reach each other would always find a way. As hours passed, silence became a psychological burden. Our brains, starved of sound, created phantom noises, a dull ache, a ringing that wasn't there. Anxiety and paranoia crept in. Without the sounds of life, people felt isolated, even in crowds. The world felt unpredictable and dangerous, every movement startling, time warped. Without auditory markers, hours blurred together. Our internal clocks lost sync, leaving us adrift in unstructured time. Yet for some, the silence brought clarity, a rare chance for deep introspection. People noticed the world anew, the play of light, the silent expressions of strangers. For a few, the stillness was transformative, a journey into the quiet depths of consciousness. Silence revealed both our fragility and our capacity for reflection. As humanity struggled, nature responded differently. With human noise gone, the planet entered a rare state of calm. Seismologists saw the Earth's vibrations settle, the planet itself seemed to breathe easier. Animals emerged, whales communicated across oceans, deer wandered city streets, birds relied on visual cues. The environment began to heal, rivers flowed undisturbed, forests stood in ancient tranquility, waterfalls crashed in silence, their power now a visual spectacle. The world's natural wonders performed to a silent audience. For one day, the planet's own quiet conversations dominated. The silence was a stark reminder of our acoustic footprint on nature. The silence exposed how much our technology depends on sound. Sonar, ultrasound, and acoustic sensors failed. Ships, factories, and clinics went blind. Microphones and broadcasting systems became useless relics. Data centers lost their audible alarms, risking critical failures. The hum of machines, once a sign of health, was gone. Engineers watched anxiously. Our digital world was more vulnerable than ever. The silence revealed that sound is not just an experience, but a tool we build with. When the world fell silent, our machines slumbered too. Exactly 24 hours later, the great stillness ended. The world, which had been holding its breath, finally exhaled. As the clock struck midnight, a new day began, and with it, the promise of sound's return filled the air with anticipation. The first sound was a global roar. Every suppressed noise returned at once. It was as if the earth itself was waking up, shaking off the silence that had blanketed every corner. Sirens, laughter, engines, and cheers collided in a single, thunderous moment. For a moment, the world was overwhelmed by a wall of sound. People flinched, startled by the sudden intensity, while animals scattered in confusion. The sheer volume was both exhilarating and disorienting, a reminder of all we'd been missing. Then, familiar noises trickled back. A phone chime, a child's laughter, the hum of life returning to every street and home. Gradually, the chaos softened into a comforting melody of daily existence. People wept with relief, speaking just to hear themselves. Voices once taken for granted now felt precious. Conversations became celebrations, and every word carried new meaning. The world was reborn, every sound now a miracle. Music filled the air, laughter echoed in parks, and the city's pulse beat stronger than ever before. We learned that sound is the glue of society, the rhythm of our lives. It connects us, inspires us, and gives shape to our memories and dreams. The silence taught us to listen more deeply, to appreciate the everyday symphony. We discovered beauty in the smallest notes, a bird's song, a friend's whisper, the wind in the trees. We became mindful of the sounds we make and the silences we create. Each moment of quiet became a chance to reflect, to cherish what we once ignored. And we were left with a question: if you could save only one sound, what would you miss the most? In a world reborn, every sound is a treasure and every silence a lesson.